This is a homecoming. This is a homecoming. We need it up. We need it up.
Happy Black Music Month, everybody. I will be short and sweet because I know what we all came for. My name is Tamara King. I'm the Chief Equity Engagement Officer here at Richland Library. On behalf of our Executive Director, Melanie Huggins, and all the staff, I want to welcome you to tonight's program. If you are a true fan, like I am, of Angie Stone and the Women of Sequence, then you have danced, partied, fallen in love, fallen out of love, broken up, then got back together, and then you've had your car concert and you sang at the top of your lungs like I have in the shower. Then you are a true fan, and that is why you are here tonight. We are so excited and elated to have Angie Stone and the Women of Sequence. I had lunch with them today. It was like a warm music hug. It was amazing. And so I am thankful that you all will have an opportunity to hear them tonight. We have history here. Columbia has history, and I want to make sure that we give them their flowers while they are alive and while they are amongst us and able to make music and be celebrated and feel the love and celebration tonight. So thank you all for being here. This is a part of our Small Talk series, which was supported and funded by Richland County Hospitality. I don't see any Richland County Council people, but if there are any, please wave your hand so I don't miss you. But if you see them as you're walking around in Columbia, please thank them for tonight's event because it would not have been possible without them. Past Small Talk series people have been George Clinton and Bootsy Collins, and tonight we continue the legacy of providing good conversation about good music. And tonight's wonderful moderator is a star in her own right, Dr. Toby S. Jenkins. She serves, yes. Dr. Jenkins serves as Associate Provost of Faculty Development for the University of South Carolina. She is also a tenured professor of higher education in the Department of Educational Leadership and Policy Studies within the College of Education. Jenkins is also a highly sought after expert in the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion, cultural inclusiveness in higher education, and higher education leadership. She does it all. Jenkins has provided professional development training and keynote speaking engagements for over 50 national, international organizations. And if that's not enough, she has authored 7 books focused on evolving ideologies of culture, family, and education in contemporary society. One of her books was listed the top 100 books for understanding race relations in the U.S. Her most recent book, The Hip Hop Mindset, Success Strategies for Educators and Other Professionals, explores success mindsets found within hip hop culture. Dr. Jenkins has over 50 other publications, including journals, articles, book chapters, books, and magazine articles. So we are in high cotton tonight. Thank you all so much. And just a little bit of housekeeping. There will be a meet and greet with Angie, Blondy, and Cheryl after the main talk in the gallery area, which is that way. And everyone in attendance will be able to get a poster to commemorate the event on their way to the gallery area. And they are beautiful. Well, I can't sing, so I'm going to get out of the way for the real professionals. Thank you all so much for being here. We truly, truly appreciate it.
You go ahead.
It's me? Okay. Okay, y'all. I am so excited about this conversation tonight. So typically, I know when a person's interviewed about their career or their life, right? They start from the beginning and then work their way to the present, like, birth, school, etc. So if it's okay, I actually want to do the opposite of that. I want us to start with the present and then work our way back, all the way back to the start of it all right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Okay. So give us a sense of of what's going on in your life right now. So where are you calling home right now?
Right now, first of all, thank you everybody for being here, coming out. That makes us feel so good. And I truly am grateful and appreciate you all. This will always be home, but I reside in Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay. So still the South, still the South.
Right.
Right. So, but I mean, you could clearly live anywhere that you want to live. What endears you to the South? Like, why do you remain rooted kind of in the
Well,
South?
because is this on? Yeah. Early on, we went to New Jersey,
Okay.
which exposed us to New York. We learned life lessons in New York. A lot of the people were rude, and they were fast, and we were slow. And I'm the type of person when you shove me, I tighten up my shoulders because I'm like, you bump into me one more time, it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So I quickly ran back to New Jersey because it reminded me more of the South. It was a little slower than New York. But like I said, I learned a lot living in New York. But I migrated back to the South after going. Of course, you got to experiment. So I went to California for 5 years.
Okay.
And I lived out there. And yes, it's beautiful, it's sunny, but it's boring.
What?
You're not outside of the Hollywood homes and the bougie attitudes, and it's not. The people are just bougie, and I come from the dirt. I'm from the dirty South.
Down home.
So
Right.
my whole thing was I need to be back where they play spades at and everybody get down. I got to get up out of here. So I decided. And I'll be real candid with you. Following love, I came back to Atlanta, and because it was a nice bridge, only a 3-hour ride back home, I felt I could have the best of both worlds. It was a little faster pace than Columbia, but a lot slower than New York. So I had really lived out the balance. So I felt like I could make it there. And whenever I wanted to see my family, I could just jump in the car and drive home and it wouldn't be no sweat. But what made me really decide to come home, my son got into a skating accident when I lived in California. He was home visiting his grandparents. And when I got a call from my daughter, and say, Mom, you ain't gonna be happy about this, but your son is in the hospital. I lost my mind because I could not get a flight that night
Especially
out
not
to
to
make it home. And they busted up his mouth really bad and had to get stitches in and out of his mouth. And that did it for me. I just said, okay, I'm too far from home. And I made the decision to come back. So what endears me to the South is you don't never want to be too far away from home and from your family. You never know who you're gonna need them or when you're gonna need them.
Right. So if we're centering kind of where you are in the present moment, and where you are as an artist, as a woman, as a mother, as a grandmother, right? What's occupying your time these days? Like what
Okay.
matters to you right now?
Okay, all that matters. Where I am as a woman is I've learned that life happens. I've lost both my parents since I started. I have become the head chief in my family. I have my son and my daughter, my 2 grandkids. I'm 62 years old, and and I've had some health challenges that would slow me down and just say, when God says be still, you have to listen, because I think I went through life running through this industry just trying so hard to take care of my family and to make sure that they were okay, that I forgot to make sure I was okay.
Absolutely.
And when I did that, God said, okay, I have to show you better than I can tell you. So in that place, I was forced to sit down and look after me. It's put me in a very tough spot because I still have a lion's heart and I still want to run that race. So I'm doing it at my own pace, but at the end of the day, I'm still holding down the fort. I still take care of my family. I still take care. My mother left a house here that I was able to turn over to my daughter and her kids, and I'm still holding down the house in Atlanta. And God has afforded me a lifestyle that I can manage and maintain without, hurting anyone or taking advantage of anyone. I've since I have an office in Atlanta for my foundation called Angel Stripes, which is the Angie Stone Foundation. And what I do is I cater to homeless and elderly people. And what we do every holiday season, every year, this year we made Easter baskets. Last year we made Easter baskets. Took them to all the homeless shelters there. We do Thanksgiving baskets. And the idea for Angel Stripes is to ultimately grow big enough so that I can franchise right here in Columbia, and we can have Angel Stripes would be similar to Candy Stripes back in the day, where we volunteered our time to go and help uh, people that are in need. Remember, everybody that lives past 30, you want to see 40, you want to see 50, and you definitely want to see 60. And if you raise your children to care for other people, they won't throw you in a nursing home and forget about you.
And you still making music.
I'm still making music. I'm actually getting ready to do, well, I've already written a Christmas song that we're planning to release this year. It's my first real Christmas song, and I'm very excited about it. I'm featuring a young lady by the name of Juanita Weir, who is also a writing partner and a very good friend of mine. So actually next week, I should finalize the vocals. But if you've been keeping up with Angie Stone, you will know that every year or two, every 2 years or so, I put out an album. Now, because the industry is changing every year, you might not know it. But all you got to do is get on YouTube and Google. You will see that ain't no slow leak in my game. I'm still putting out good music. Still putting out solid records or songs that would speak to your situation. I don't have any plans on just quitting. I am touring. I am doing dates. I have a show this weekend coming in Ohio, in Richmond, Virginia. I have Chicago coming up. I have Miami coming up. So I am still working. I just last weekend did 100 Black Men of Atlanta. I did that show and it was a huge success. So, I'm still, like I said, I'm still about that life.
So it's Juneteenth week.
Mhm.
It's Juneteenth week. And if I'm sitting down with a Black person this week, I feel like I have to have a conversation about freedom.
Mhm.
Right? And just the idea of freedom seeking and what that looks like for each of us. And if you bear with me for a little minute, because when I look at your biography, right,
Mhm.
and just look at the life that you've been blessed to live, and it reminds me so much that in many ways, the idea of freedom is simply about being able to be free to be yourself, to be who you are.
Absolutely.
Right. And to do what you love. And to beyond that, being paid to share who you truly are.
Mhm.
Right. And have your talents be inextricably bound to your labor, right? Because there's so many people who work in spaces where who they are has nothing to do with what they do, right? And nobody cares what they think. Nobody cares what their real and true talents are. It's just like, shut up and get to work or whatever, right? But to be able to have your talents be your labor, I think that's a real blessing. And particularly on top of that, to then be able to center Black people and Black culture, in that is even more beautiful, right? Because when I think about, I'm an educator. And so, of course, we're here to educate everybody. I'm here for everybody. But if you ask me to close my eyes and visualize who I am here to serve, I see Black people, right? I see Black people.
Okay.
Like that movie, I see dead people. I see Black people, right? And so, and I just feel like your artistry, your voice, your writing, your words, they feed the soul of Black people.
Yes, they do.
They feed the soul of Black people, right? Your work provides a nourishment that I think Black people particularly crave, right? And we value it and we love it and appreciate it, so much. And I'm gonna be a little selfish because of my age. So as my 10-year-old likes to say, I was in my 20s back in the 19s, like right? They say it in the 19s. And so like in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? I'm living in DC and I'm in my 20s. And so I'm gonna be real. Black Diamond and Mahogany Soul. What? You know what I'm saying? That is a soundtrack of my life. Of that time period was just so dear to me. You know what I'm saying? It was just good times. And just that neo soul era. That like just the music that came out, the spoken word, Black intellectual, the fashion, right?
Yeah.
And you are a leading light of that era. You're a leading light. And I want to stress leading light because, a lot of people get credits for being, queens of it and all this stuff, whatever. But like, you didn't just show up in the genre and become popular. Your work laid the foundation for neo soul to be established, to be created, right? And so I want to lift that up, right?
Yeah.
And so when you think about just your contributions to Black culture, what is your legacy as you see it?
Well,
Because it's so much.
the one thing you said is, when you think of serving, you think of Black people. Well, I think of God. And God said that our gifts would make room for us. And so I've embraced that throughout my career because I knew a lot of people would judge me based on, how they personally felt. If I knew them, if I went to school with them, if I hung out with them. But only God knows the heart of a man. And so when I am alone, and I've been alone all my life, I'm an only child, I had to make Jesus my very best friend. I had to make him my friend because in my world, I did not know who was a true enemy. You could be a friend of me or you could be an enemy. I didn't know. So I had to surround myself with what was certain. And that's the only way I could walk in my gifting with power, knowing that I was covered and I was under the wings of that protection. So when I left Columbia, Booker T. Washington and C.A. Johnson was still at odds. So in my mind, seriously, in my mind, this was the light-skinned school, this was the dark-skinned school. And so I left with a mentality of, I'm the dark-skinned girl with the full lips and the nappy hair. So when I met that part of the world, I knew that's how they saw me. So I had to first embrace how they saw me. And then I had to embrace how he saw me. And when I was able to process that, I had to trust the 3 P's: the pain, the process, and then the promise. So when I began to accept all of that, nobody could stop me. And so I went forth like I wasn't worried about Jill Scott. I wasn't worried about Erica Badu. I know all of them came after me. I wasn't worried about that. But the one thing that you said that let me know that God has always had my back, you saw me. And when you saw Neo Soul, you said, I don't care who they put out front. You laid the foundation. And I knew that, you know, when we did Black Diamond, Mahogany Soul, and Brown Sugar, all those, you know, all those songs, all those albums, all those moments, those times changed history. And that's something that was scripted by God. It wasn't scripted by me. So I can't take the credit for it. I'm just glad that I didn't become selfish and boast and brag about it. I never have. But I'm thankful that God allowed me to remember that it all belongs to him. It ain't got nothing to do with me other than get on through. I got you.
Right. And like you said, people see it. People will see it.
They gonna, but listen, I can't worry about what people say. You feel what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, they're gonna constantly say something. My dad used to tell me, you can't please everybody all the time. So don't live to please everybody. You do you, and do what you got to do, and do it to your very best. And that's how I walk through life.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's keep moving back.
Mm-hmm.
So we go further back. You
Okay.
graduated from high school here in Columbia.
Yes.
Now, where'd you go to?
I didn't graduate,
Okay.
but I
Went to
made it to the 12th grade. I had 4 scholarships over at C.A. Johnson. We got discovered when I was in the 12th grade. So I had to make a decision, and I had to either graduate or walk away.
Oh, come on now.
And when I walked away, I had to know what I was walking away from. So my mother and father had never gotten a diploma. They had not graduated. It was a very hard decision for me because I was the only child, and it was the only opportunity for them to see me get a diploma. I was this close when Ms. Robinson said what she said to us. And I knew that Columbia was like a needle in a haystack to the music industry. And so what do? I had to trust him on it. I had to trust the process. And I made the decision on a promise. The promise that we're going to get you a tutor. We're going to make sure you get your diploma. I promise you we're going to see it through. And I walked away from high school with the promise that Ms. Robinson would make sure I got completed my education. Now you ought to be able to tell me what happened.
Right.
Somebody dropped the ball. Okay? And the thing is, I couldn't go back. I was very fortunate because I was in Upward Bound in high school, which means I was ahead of myself, and I had my credits. I spaced myself apart because I was, trying to be smart. And I took a half a gym credit early in life, and I saved my other half a gym for my senior year, so I could just lollygag. I had a job working for Job Corps. I was going to Benedict for Upward Bound and getting back to the school enough to qualify for my scholarship. Well, you would know as soon as we dropped the ball, there was no school in the country that offered a gym. So it was no way for me, because that's all I needed. And mind you, I was a straight A gym student at the time. Throughout my entire school uh, accreditation, I was a straight A student with gym, and it was no one that could offer me a gym credit, and so I walked away without a diploma.
Wow. But you were also now in some of my digging. I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You were an athlete too.
Yeah, I had 4 scholarships.
Yes, yeah,
Played
basketball scholarship.
basketball.
Because here in
Yeah.
Columbia, we women's basketball. We
I
that's big
played
for us.
volleyball. I played softball, track and field. You know,
Right.
and like I said,
Cheerleader.
cheerleader. You know, all that.
Right. I think that's just an interesting point because people. I don't know. Sometimes people are like this the one thing that they that a person is, but a person can be elite and excellent at like lots of different things. Athlete, artist.
Well, I did it to get out the house. I got to stay to practice late.
Right. Well, that's good. So now, how many? She said Johnson. How many Hornets we got out here? All right, Johnson, represent. Yeah, my sister went to Johnson.
I did a freshman year at AC Flora.
Okay.
I went to AC. I got you.
Y'all better know your alumni.
I went to AC Flora. My boyfriend at the time was Kenny Tobin. I went to AC Flora, and I went over there because they ran me from C.A. Johnson. They wanted to fight all the time. And so when I went over there, I was just tired of it. I didn't want to fight. I was trying to get right, and focus. And then when I went over to AC Flow, I said, I can't take it. It's way too much going on over here. Let me get back over here with my folks. And so I went back over there. I was playing. I think what did it, I played basketball for AC Floor, and Coach Mack set me on the bench. I said, oh, you got me real twisted. Let me get right back over here. And I went back to C.A. Johnson because you couldn't play on, team. You had to wait a year. So I quit the team so that wouldn't be a penalty for me. And I joined C.A. Johnson's team. And I made them pay for it when they came to Johnson. I scored 19 points on them. And so he said to me, oh, you had to wait till you get to C.A. Johnson to learn how to play ball. I said, I already knew how to play. You don't know how to play.
So the first group was the sequence.
Yes.
No, and y'all were all right here.
Yes.
This was formed in Columbia. So how did you meet Gwendolyn, Blondy, Chisolm, and Cheryl Cook?
Okay, well, Blondy and I went to First Nazareth Baptist Church together.
Okay, sure.
We was singing in a choir together at 11 years old. When I was 11, I think Blondy might have been 13, 12 or 13. But we were singing in a choir together. And some way throughout, I'll tell you how we met. I met Cheryl. I was going to W. Perry, and I was on the volleyball team, and we lost the championship game. The volleyball team got mad at me. They threw my sneakers on the roof. They jumped me, and so they were fighting. So Cheryl, 2 sisters were at school with us, and so they went and told their big sister. She was the big sister. I lost the game, and they had all jumped on me, and so I met Cheryl because Cheryl was supposed to come beat me up. And so when Cheryl saw me, Cheryl said, I'm not gonna touch that girl. She beat both of y'all up. Both of y'all together couldn't, and I didn't beat them up, but I just think so much went on. I ain't take no mess from nobody. So, and I just think that, I had no made up my mind. One by one, I'm gonna get them back one by one. So the next, once she came, for some reason she couldn't fight me. And we ended up having liking the same thing and becoming cool because my Aunt Sarah lived right next door to them. And then she found out my Aunt Sarah was the one that did their hair. So, I went, my aunt looked out for me because my dad and her was sister and brother. And so I think we became connected because we were more like family than enemies. And so her sister Nisa was my best friend at first. But I got in so much trouble with Nisa. I got to stop her. We go to the harbor, Nisa get going with something. I said, man, we end up, So what ended up happening? We just started growing up and being cheerleaders together and playing sports. Cheryl was she was our pitcher. She was an excellent softball pitcher. She played basketball as well. Nisa and her sister Dorothy also played basketball. So we were teammates and we became cool because we had to be cool. And then I had put this little band together in school, Rodney Parker and his friend, and we, Cheryl and I hit it off and we started singing Honeycomb song, Boogie Oogie Oogie, get down. So at the pep rallies, I asked the people, can I put the little band up for the pep rallies? And so me and Cheryl started singing at the pep rallies at school. So we got connected, and I think that's what ultimately led us to start writing songs and really started moving forward. And Cheryl had ended up meeting these other people that had a group, and they wanted her to be in a group, and she was already working with me, so she pulled me with it. But they was tall and we was short. It was just an awkward situation. I'm like,
all right.
They was bougie and we weren't. So we decided we was gonna call ourselves Salt and Pepper. First, we said we were gonna be Thunder and Lightning. And then we said we was gonna be Salt and Pepper. And so before you know it, we had formed a group, and I think, I don't want to tell the whole story about them, but I want her and Blondy to have their say about, how Sequence was formed, and but you got the basics from me.
Right. Well, we have all the members of the Sequence here, so let's bring them on up. Let's bring them on up on the stage to join us. Yeah, we can. While they're making their way to the stage, we're going to show y'all a quick video, a short video on the history of the Sequence.
Sequence was the first all-female hip-hop group, hailing straight from Columbia, South Carolina. The trio, consisting of Angie B. Stone, Gwendolyn Blondy Chisolm, Cheryl the Pearl Cook, were longtime school friends who founded the singing rap group. On October 20th, 1979, the group Sequence made their way backstage to a Sugar Hill Gang concert at the Township Auditorium in Columbia, South Carolina. They auditioned their original song, Funk You Up, for Sylvia Robinson, CEO of the noted Sugar Hill record label. After the audition, Sylvia told the girls, "I am going to make you stars." Within a week of auditioning, Sylvia sent for them to fly to New Jersey. After being the second group signed to the Sugar Hill label, they recorded their first single, Funk You Up. The single went certified gold in only 3 weeks and was the first rap record by a female group to sell 500,000 units of a 12-inch single.
I said, get up, 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 sit back down.
Sylvia Robinson took these young ladies under her wing, making the most of the opportunity for childhood friends to become stars. Growing from the fame, the girls went on in their flashy Sequence outfits, making a statement and paving the way for future hip-hop artists.
You don't stop, you don't stop, that body rock. You don't stop, you don't stop, that body rock.
Sequence released their first album in 1980.
Okay, we got the ladies here, so we don't need to watch video. Y'all can watch video on YouTube. So thank you all for joining. So now we've heard a little bit about how y'all met. Talk to us about the early days, how you formed this group, and what it was like trying to break into the music industry in Columbia, South Carolina.
But I call them the good old days.
Oh, that's
Because we was between me and her, we was go-getters all the way from the start. You know, she's like my baby, my sister. She is my sister because it was me, Niecy, and my dark sister Dorothy, and Angie. Got you. And so my mouth's so big, so sometimes yeah. But we've been defending each other all our life, protecting each other all our life, and I don't know. I just thank God. I thank God for the opportunity. I thank God for the sisterhood we have. I thank God that we pray for each other. We all get along with each other. We're still together to this day. You know, everybody just got different outlets or whatever, but we're all together and we're thankful for this day. Thank you for inviting us.
Oh yeah, and that's yeah. And that's such a blessing. You know, I was looking at the pictures as they were scrolling them through, and I'm thinking about, like, I don't know if y'all out there thinking about your own lives or whatever, your friends, but that's a lot to have lifelong friends. You know, people that have just from young girls, and y'all are still, you know,
Over 50
still
years.
friends. Yes, that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And we're all still here.
Yeah. Right. So it said that your big break came at the township.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Tell us that story. How that happened.
Boy, that's one. Okay. The night of my birthday, which was October the 20th, 1979, was the night we went to the Township Auditorium. And it was supposed to be some tickets there for me because I worked at this place called Super Flavor on North Main. And we had been working with my manager, Leland, and he said he was going to have tickets, leave tickets at the will call for us. We get there. Of course, there are no tickets. So we were walking around looking at each other like, what are we going to do? So it was this guy, Harold Miles, which was the road manager for the Sugar Hill Gang. He came outside and he saw Angie and lost his mind. And he said, who's that pretty chocolate thing? And then he asked Angie, was she coming in? And Angie said, yeah, but if I go in, you got to get the girls in too. So we all got in, got backstage, walked down this hallway, and got in the back. There was a lady back there, which we didn't know who she was at the time, which is Sylvia Robinson now, you know. And they had the band members, the gang, and all them back. And we was like, we can rap and sing better than the Sugar Hill Gang. And so she was like, really? And we was like, yep. And, you know, there was no shame in our gang because, like you said, we was already doing so much in Columbia. So we had, you know, had no shame in our game. So we was singing all these songs. She was like, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice. And then all of a sudden, I think it was Cheryl, I remember, said, we didn't even do Funk You Up. And so she said, and they was getting a kick out of us because, you know, they're from the north and we're from the south.
Country bump.
Country bumpkins. So Cheryl said, we got to do Funk You Up. So she was like, come on back and do Funk You Up. And when we hit it, she said, that's it. I'm going to make you girls stop. We started jumping up, screaming, ah! And before you know it, we was on stage that night with the Sugar Hill Gang, and she sent for us in a week. And we went, cut the record in one take, and it went gold in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. But I got to say this. I got to say one thing.
Okay.
All that she breezed through that so fast. Let me tell you something.
I done told her
When we got discovered,
so much to
there
it.
was the big deal. I was 17 at the time, and I was looking crazy than a bat. I'm like, my mom and dad ain't gonna let me go nowhere. And when she said she was gonna make us stars, I ran home and I told my mom and them, I said, ooh, we just met this lady and she said she was gonna make us star. My dad said, girl, sit down somewhere. Y'all ain't going nowhere, you know. And so I said, she did say she was gonna make us star. Dad said, you ain't going. Like, cause I said, oh God. So when we finally got the phone call, it was Stuart Harris, who was at, one of my classmates. He's walking through the hall. I'm in class now. And I done told everybody at the school, so I don't want to be looking crazy. I told everybody at school, no, the lady said she gonna call us and blah, 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 blah. And I said, Lord have mercy, the time just going by. And so Stuart was a hall monitor, and he walked by the window. And then all of a sudden he walked by to me. Come in the class. Angie Brown, the lady, Gwendolyn and Chisolm just called. She said the lady just called. I jumped up out the class, ran to the office, because in my mind, he didn't know that because I don't talk to him, so he had to be telling the truth. So I get on the phone with them, and they say, Angie, girl, hurry up. You got to leave. We got to pack. It's time to go. I say, go where? They said, the lady just called. It's time for us to go. I said, girl, my mama and them ain't going to let me go nowhere, right? So now I'm really panicking. My heart beating fast, everything, because I'm thinking they're going to leave me.
No, it wasn't easy for me either, because Cheryl was at my house the night before. We was trying to find a way to get me out of the house just to go to the concert. And my mama said, I ain't going nowhere. So Cheryl like, well, what you gonna do? Now, I'm not 20 years old. My mama said, go in there and sit down. You ain't going nowhere. So I'm in my room like this. Cheryl said, you almost 20 years old. I said, so what you want me to do? She said, I can't go. So I said, I'm going. And then my mama said, if you go, don't you ever come back here again. And I say, well, I'm going. I packed my stuff up. I left.
She was
that
almost
night.
20 now.
I ended up staying with Cheryl. And when I left,
look,
she didn't take that good.
I went home and asked Mama and them, can I go?
She was so strict, yeah.
I said, well, Mama, the lady called. I said, the lady had called. Mom said, well, she ain't called me. I said,
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Mom said, you in school. What you supposed to do by school? And so I hadn't asked any of those questions. And so the lady turned around and said, oh, tell your mama I got it covered. I'll get you a tutor. Talking fast, New York, And so I done went in there and say, the lady said you gonna give me a tutor. So now I'm crying, and my daddy told me, and what you crying for? I said, because I know I ain't gonna get another opportunity like this, so I'm just really bought up. That's all right. I'll be 18 soon, because we go there. And my daddy said they ain't gonna do nothing but turn you out up there when you go up there.
My mama said the same thing.
So I told him, I said, you always think it's bad. I said, that lady not like that. Because, see, we hadn't seen Sugar Hill Gang. We had seen success. So in our minds, she couldn't have been bad. So I begged and begged and begged until they let me go. And when I walked away from school, I said, well, this is it. Well, we went and cut the song. Now, when we got up there, we didn't never think we was going to come right back home. But see, she brought us up there and cut the record and say, okay, you can get on back to school now. And I'm like, I said, what the world? I done told everybody I'm going to be gone. And I went.
I said, I didn't go back.
I went back to class.
Talking all that noise.
And I said, oh God. So now everybody looking at me like Boo Boo the Fool, and I'm sitting in the class. And then it wasn't 2 weeks after we had cut the record, we was all on the phone with each other, and we heard something on the radio. And it was,
that was on Sure, bro.
we heard Gwendolyn in the funk, you. Right on. Child, we about broke our neck on the phone. Hang on. I got to call my mom. We start calling everybody that we could think of to turn on the radio. And it was, now I'm back and everybody could see I wasn't telling a story. And that was, those are moments that we cherish, because I'll never forget how we were all on the phone at the same time. Who knew that the record would come on at that particular moment when all three of us are on a three-way call, and the record would play on the radio, and we would lose our minds temporarily. And I'm calling up to the Baptist hospital where my mama worked, can't turn the radio on. And then, by the time they answer, you hang up on people. Bye, I got to call somebody. And you call somebody else. They're like, what in the world? And it was just one of those things that, we weren't expecting to happen. And of course, right after that, the record blew up so fast. The next call we got was, you got to meet the Sugar Hill Gang. And where did we go?
It was Europe. No, in
Oh,
Orangeburg.
yeah, that's right, Orangeburg. We had to meet them in Orangeburg and pick up the tour with them right there. We ain't had time to think about it. Huh? Go where? And we went to Orangeburg, and I had them laughing earlier today. I told them we ain't had no clue of what to wear. And so I went in the closet and put on my best brown church suit that I had. The jacket and the skirt. The skirt that come all the way down to the knees. We're gonna funk you. I said, not thinking jeans or nothing like that. You thinking dress up. I said, Lord, so we've had some funny moments.
But that was fast. I mean, that was just a whirlwind.
Yeah.
That was a whirlwind. So, and then, so y'all go on tour, and I know y'all have experiences touring with lots of different artists and legends and everything, whatever. Do y'all have any memories or experiences that just kind of stand out?
Yeah. We were in Indianapolis, and we had 2 shows that night. We had to leave one day show to go to a night show in Tennessee. And they had us in these little small jets.
Lear jets.
Yeah, which was very scary to all of us.
Only 6 people can get in that plane.
Yeah. And so we got there, and as we were coming to the stage, because we were already dressed.
And we were late.
And so the man was mad at us. And I said, how much time do we have? He said 15 minutes. And if you don't get out there, so you won't get but 10. I was like, okay. So when we got on stage, now we're in front of 30,000 people. When the band's, some people went crazy. We didn't have to sing the song. We said, we're going to funk. They were all singing the song. From the beginning to the end. Then we came, we was just like, put the mic out. When Gwen came in, we said, my name is Gwen. And so after we came out of that, we went into Ted Roof Off, because that was a new release of ours. And we split the crowd. The guys were saying, turn his mother out. The females was going, we don't need no music. Turn his mother out. We don't need no music. So as we were getting ready to go off, we always say we had our fun rapping with you. In Jesus' name, we love you. And then we walk off the stage, and the band is still playing. Then the band slowly, the bass, they don't put it down, and they walking off. It's just a drummer. And the people chanting. And those people chanted. We were in a limousine going back to the airport, and we could hear them 6 blocks down.
Wow.
As far as we were going, they were slowly fading. But I'm like, look how many blocks. They're still in there. And then the Gap Band came, and Charlie Wilson said, why did y'all do that? He said, why did y'all do that? We had to wait before we could get on that stage. They couldn't calm the people down.
And back then, back then we toured with Parliament Funkadelic the Gap Band, Function, OJ. We were the live wires of, because we only had one song, so they used us to open up their show. And when they did that, they realized eventually we made a mistake by letting them girls get on here, because we were cheerleaders. We knew how to pump a crowd up, so we made it very hard for them. And it's so funny because all of them was so much older than we were. And because we were young, most of the older guys were always trying to get with us and do, and we be like, no, y'all grown men, no.
I say, that's an old man. You better get out that old man face.
But I wonder, like, how old were they really, though? Because when you're young,
I was a teenager.
When you're young, they look older.
I tell you this much. I was a young girl, and Charlie Wilson was running me down like crazy.
Look, I feel like Charlie Wilson's one of those. He always just look old.
That's my buddy now. That's my buddy.
Yeah. But he just always looked mature, adult.
Yes. But they was much older than we were.
All right. What's up? One of the eyes. When was like that man said, I really like Blondy. But he had been having a few drinks. This is one of the Isley brothers.
Oh, microphone.
But this is one of the Isley brothers. So as he's drinking this liquor, I want Blondy. I want Blondy. So the teeth came out his mouth.
Oh, okay.
That was over for me.
We'll say, that's it.
It was over before the teeth came out, though. Okay. He was old.
Oh, no. That's not going to happen right there.
And look, the man that discovered us, his name was Harold Miles. And he must have about 90 at that time. And he wouldn't let the young guys listen. Yeah. We was on the bus. He was the road manager. Yeah. And when we went on tour with Grandmaster Flash and all of them, and we was the new bait on the bus. And Hal used to say, and leave them girls alone too, right? So we would get to the back of the bus. When all the Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 was trying to hit on us now, I'm like, let me get to the back of the bus, because none of us smoked, weed or none of that stuff. And they used to smoke hash and all kind of stuff. And it would be so strong. We would put towels and everything up under the door.
How about when we put that powder on Harold and told him it was itching powder on the bus? We put like regular baby powder on him, and then we said, you'll be itching in a minute. And so then he started. And he go, I don't know what that stuff y'all put on me. And we was like, now we couldn't take it back. And we was like, it wasn't itching powder, it was just baby powder. Oh, that was one funny. That was funny.
Tell you what, nobody could get next to him. If he felt like anybody was getting close to us, the man stayed up all night to make sure nobody, hey, get your old behind. He would make sure nobody got near us. And that was good because it kept us safe. It kept us honest. And, we was able to.
And then with the band members, everybody protected us. Everybody.
Oh, yeah, the boys did a great job.
Us.
Yeah.
And when it was time to get on, I get on the bus. We're talking about, well, you can't tell us what to do. We can talk to other people, No, get on the bus. And we listened to them. They became our brothers, and still brothers to this day.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So what did each of you learn about yourself from that overall experience in the sequence?
I know I learned that I can take care of myself. My mom, because I was so sheltered, I was scared of everything. But once I got out there, because everything she instilled in me, I carried with me. But once I got out there, I was like, I can do this. And I got through it and I did it. So I learned that I could take care of myself and I could make it on my own. And I did. I made it on my own. Not with her. She didn't want me to do it, but I did it. She was proud of me later on, though. Telling everybody, yeah, that's my daughter with the blonde hair. I said, it kicked me out of the house. Now I'm your daughter.
It goes from fussing to bragging.
Yeah, she's bragging then. Yeah.
But with me, once we left and went there and decided, well, we're not going back. We're gonna make this work for us. To be paid $500 for 15 minutes of your time changed me a little bit more, because I was working with Gwen at the hot dog stand, making $3.45 an hour. So to make $500 for 15 minutes of your time, that's what it started out. But then it got higher of your time. You couldn't tell me nothing. I could send half my money back to my grandparents and my mother and still have my $250.
Yeah.
And then when you're doing 4 shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the money was pretty good. Mm-hmm. You could send money home.
It was good
for a little while.
Because we were young and no better.
Yeah.
That
too. That too.
Yeah.
But I went from 345 to that, and that was a big jump. And I was like, oh Lord, that lady gave us 15 minutes.
Right.
I'll tell you what I learned. Something my grandson said to me a few weeks back resonated with me. He said, Grandma, I just want to do good. I want my mama to know I wasn't a mistake. And when he said that to me, it went deep, because I think what I have learned in life is, back when I thought I was making mistakes, I look at my family. When I got pregnant with my daughter, I married her dad. When I got pregnant with my daughter, I got pregnant out of wedlock. And I said, well, back home, you get pregnant, you got to get married. You can't just, So I did get married. And as a result, I realize now I didn't make a mistake. Because as I look at my family sitting right there on the front row, that's the best thing I got going right there. And I learned that sometimes, because you think it's a mistake, God don't make no mistakes. So when things happen inadvertently like that, you have to wait for the outcome. And so having her has allowed me to have 2 beautiful grandchildren. My Aunt Mary is here. My cousin Nat is here. It has strengthened me as a woman to know that family is everything. And they are now an extension of everything I believed in and what I worked so hard for. So even if I can't see anything, I do see the fruits of my labor.
But I want to have some time to open it up to the audience. So I want to wrap up my conversation with y'all with just a kind of general question about hip hop, right? And your legacy and impact on that genre. And so the video that we show talked about how the Sequence was the first female group to sell 500,000 units of a 12-inch single. Mm-hmm. And this was Funk You Up, right? That highly sampled hip hop song that many of us have heard on Dr. Dre's Keep Their Heads Ringing, right? We've heard on Erykah Badu's Love of My Life. Those of y'all in the 20s have heard it in Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk, right? So it's not just that y'all had a moment years ago that was successful. Your impact is sustaining.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like I was saying, it's still feeding us. It's still feeding us. Right. So coming off of that 50th anniversary of the celebration of hip hop and of culture and everything, what's your legacy within hip hop history as you see it?
Well, our legacy is that what you just said, the fact that we have established that introduction to hip hop on that level. But in celebration of the 50th anniversary, Sequence has constantly been overlooked, forgotten, never mentioned. And I believe that it begins with home. When you go to Atlanta, they took the Dirty South with T.I. and all of them, and they ran with it. And I ain't mad at it because they're supporting their own. I just feel like they should, I've only played here a few times. 50 years in the game. I don't think Sequence has ever played here. And I just think that there's enough functions going on in our own hometown that we should be celebrated at home with our people, with our classmates. And I believe that we should be put on the map first at home for people, because one thing I hate is when we fighting that battle hard on Instagram and all of that, the first thing they say is, what did y'all do? Y'all own people don't even recognize y'all. And that hurts so deep because they're telling the truth. I'm like, how you know our business? You all in our business. You don't know what we got going on. So let this particular event has been, in my opinion, the one time that we can say it starts today, that we get represented. 50th anniversary of hip hop. Our legacy should never die. Well said, Angie. Well said.
All right. So we're going to open it up to the audience, and I think we have a Roman mic. So anyone has questions?
Before we get started, can I do a shout out to the big dude? He's our Southern Soul artist.
Southern Soul.
Yes, and he's doing great things here in Columbia also.
All right.
So we have to recognize upcoming artists.
All right. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
This is a pivotal moment in my life, so y'all give me a second, okay? Y'all just like 2 days older than me. I was born in 1970, so y'all like 2 days older than me. But I'm from Flint, Michigan originally. And let me tell you something. In 1979, Motown right across up the road in Detroit. So I'm hearing R&B and okay, we would hear a little bit of the Philly sound coming on. But when you sisters, oh my God, 1979. Well, for us, we got it 1980. I hadn't turned 10 yet. I heard that Funk You Up. And I had gotten a radio. Y'all remember we the generation, tapes and cassettes and walking around. Got a brand new radio for Christmas. My grandma bought me. It was bright yellow. I heard that Funk You Up on WDZZ. I blasted it as much as it could go. It was like whisper back then. My mama said, "What are you listening to?" I said, "Mama, these girls are saying that rap stuff." Because I had Sugar Hill Gang's album. I'm hip hop, the hibbity hop. But when you ladies stepped onto that scene, it changed the trajectory of my life forever. I need y'all to know that.
Thank you
and
so
much.
much.
I'm trying not to cry because I got a question for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because Miss Angie Stone, in 1993, I was in college in Houston. I went to Texas Southern. I've always been in music all my life. You ladies were the precipice of me continuing to go on because I came into the music scene when gangster rap, y'all didn't matter anymore. Everything was shoot them, kill them, slap them. Your mama big, your daddy this and that. You know what I mean? Your daddy in jail slanging dope. But you ladies, y'all know it's real. If y'all know it's real. And then everybody's watching New Jack City. So I think today, I believe today, as we see what's going on in the industry today, ain't none of us blind, people falling off, this and that. But with you guys' foundation and upbringing, do you see the industry turning back around to where we've been and where we need to be? Because I feel, just my opinion, the world is missing the melanin mothering on this planet. And that vocal sound, whether y'all were doing hip hop or whatever, that melanin mothering that you guys gave to me very early, let me know. I ain't got to cuss and I ain't got to do, which I do, but I ain't got to cuss. I ain't got to do all that. I ain't got to fit in with nobody because what y'all did was something we had never seen before. And I thank you. And I'm honored for that to be here today.
Thank you so much.
But do y'all see that trend? That's my question. I just had to give y'all flowers, trust me. Because Angie Stone, I love you so much, it's ridiculous. My wife brought me here today. I've been crying in the car. Okay, I'm just telling you now. But do y'all see that trend going back? And another part of that question, with me being the age that I am, what advice do you guys have for someone who was a neo soul artist, who still is a neo soul artist, who is still a poet, who is fighting today to get us back heard? Because we ain't forgot y'all, and we'll never forget y'all. And I want to be a representation where they don't forget us ever. So if you got my question,
well, I think if you're neo soul, something, for me, soul music comes from the soul.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, nothing can ever interfere or stop your grind. You just got to hustle hard. Got to hustle hard.
Ma'am.
And guess what? Believe enough in yourself that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Hi, I'm Tara Satterfield, Angie Brown.
That's my classmate.
And Paige Jeter Moore.
Hey, Paige, those are my classmates.
And Beverly Bentley over there.
Oh my God!
Well,
Represent class.
Yeah. Well, and hi, Cheryl and Gwen. But one thing I want to say, Angie said she started at Johnson, she and Cheryl and them singing and all that, but that's not true. Angie and I in 5th grade, we were running for class president. I had my speech together. I knew I was going to win. Angie got on that stage and started singing Michael Jackson, being the two of us. And so that was her foundation.
No, Tara, you did
remember.
not remember
You
that.
remember that.
That's funny. Wow.
Hi, I want to give you ladies all your props, and we appreciate you all coming and sharing your story, because that's the big thing. You have to tell your own story. You can't let anybody else tell your story.
Right.
So this is a way to do it, but we got to get it in writing and recording, and you got to step up to the plate and just keep telling it over and over so that people will know and won't forget. And I hope that this is a beginning that they will bring you back. Angie, you came a couple of years ago or several years ago to the township.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that. And I was there.
Yes.
But what I want, and appreciate you coming then, but what I want you to talk a little bit about, and this is not to take away from the sequence, because you all made each other.
Right.
Okay. But what I want you to tell me a little bit about is how you were able to, and still are able to, deal with your health issues, because I do know you have some, and we have a little something for you from Sarcoidosis of South Carolina.
Cute.
A card and a pen and some other things, because we
Okay.
love you and we want you to be a part of the city of Columbia of Sarcoidosis of South Carolina, and want you to be a part of the state.
Oh,
And we want to
wow.
also let you know that because sarcoidosis affects persons with disability, right now,
Absolutely.
MUSC research is specifically focusing on African American women with sarcoidosis.
Okay.
And that's big, that's huge. So tell us a little bit about how your diabetes, I think there's some issues with diabetes, but sarcoidosis has affected you as well, because Keisha Campbell has just released some information, but I'm interested in you because you're home.
I got you. All right. Let me just say, for the record, that God has healed me of sarcoidosis. And I'll tell you how that came about, because when I worked at Presbyterian Hospital many years ago. I worked in a lab, in an office, where the doctor had left me in the room, and they were testing a lot of stuff, and they had a chemical spill. In that chemical spill, the germs crossed the door that I was on, and they got in my eyes. And my cousin Natalie came to New York. Do you remember Nat when you came? And all of a sudden, all of my joints, every joint in my body started hurting. And I was nearly blind. I didn't know what happened because it happened so fast. And so I went to what they call employee health. At the time, they didn't know what was going on with my joints because it was such a rare disease. And my eyes, they tested my eyes, so they had to biopsy my eyes. And when they biopsied my eyes, the doctor asked me, he said, well, have you ever been to Africa? Well, at the time, I had not been to Africa. He said, you've been exposed to a tree sap. And so I said, well, I was in a room a couple of weeks where there was a chemical spill, but it was obviously something they were working with that was in that chemical spill. And they started treating me immediately with prednisone, the highest dosage of prednisone that I could get. If you guys remember, I was extremely overweight at a time. I'm sure a lot of my classmates was like, God, Angie Brown got big. Well, I only got big because I was taking medication to deal with the sarcoidosis, which they said I had been exposed to at the time. I was very lucky that it had not got to my lungs. I had one lesion on my lung that is now scar tissue that never affected me because I was on such a high dose of prednisone. But what I developed was diabetes due to the overusage of prednisone. So, of course, I went on this campaign for Eli Lilly for diabetes because I had to stand in the mirror and ask God, why me? Because me, I don't eat a lot of junk food. I'm healthy. I'm this. God, is this something you want me to do? And I just had to trust the process. And so at the height of my career with No More Rain in This Cloud, I was 240 pounds. I had never been that big. When I left South Carolina, I was 119 pounds. And my life changed, and I was on prednisone for almost 12 years. Well, as a result, I have now diet controlled diabetes, the sarcoidosis. They told me it was the kind of disease that one day you could have, and then one day it could just disappear. And I was blessed and fortunate enough that one day it disappeared. Thank God for that. But I will tell you that the diabetes has done a lot of damage because even though I'm free of it, the damage that it causes is causing me to struggle through life, but to maintain my love for God and just knowing that in the end, miracles do happen and that in the minute, there's going to be a healing. So I can promise you that, yes, I can talk about sarcoidosis all day because I lost my cousin to sarcoidosis. I can tell you it's a dreadful situation. And I can tell you that you can make it through anything because when that happened to me, I never saw it coming. And neither did you. But it happened. And so when somebody says, talk about your health issues, I can tell you this, take care of yourself because it can be as simple as a chemical spill. Something can be out here that affects you. I could have been in another room at the time, but I wasn't. There were no windows in the room, so there was no way for the germ to escape but through me. You're welcome.
How you doing? Oh, that got deep. How you doing, ladies? Right here. And Miss Stone, I just want to give you your ladies the flowers for what you've done, not only for the culture, but as far as as Black America as a whole. And Miss Stone, I'm not sure if you noticed, but this past September marked 20 years since the Fighting Temptations movie. So when and the fact that you have such a dynamic cast, when we look at Cuba Gooding Jr., Beyonce, Mike Epps, Steve Harvey. And the fact that you all, imagine when the film came out, you all were at the top of your game in your own genre, in your own industry. And not only that, it almost seemed like it was a passing of the torch, because when Beyonce at the time in 2003, she was starting to break out as a solo artist. And the fact that how was it to be around a young Beyonce, and it kind of almost was like a mentorship, and the fact that you have this one of the most dynamic soundtracks that I've ever heard, the fact that you have that chemistry with all these Black musicians, entertainers, y'all able to work together, and the fact 20 years later to see so many of y'all still being at the top of where you are. So how is it just building that chemistry and building that camaraderie, especially then with there can be so many egos, especially with all that talent in the room?
But let me just say, Beyonce is extremely cool. We became very close friends. I became a confidant for her. She was right at that tender age where she was being pursued by Jay-Z. And, she and I became very close because she didn't know whether she was too young to date him or not. And she would ask for advice, and I would just say, you're not in a rush to do anything. It ain't going nowhere. So at the end of the day, I gave her good, solid, sound advice, like I would give my sisters. Kelly and Michelle, her mom and her younger sister, flew me to their hometown to go to church with them. And whenever they needed advice or sisterly advice, they would say, Angie, can you please talk to this one for us or that one? So that was the kind of mentorship that we had. So working together was a breeze because there was never any competition. I only learned to compete with myself in this game of the industry. So I was, like I said, I was never intimidated by anybody. I embrace everybody, and I will give you 110% of what I have to help you with, because I don't fear anything, like I said. And you really have to look at the fact that, great minds think alike. So when we were all working, the main objective was to create an awesome film, and that's what we did.
Hey, how's it going? So here at the library, this is a hub for creativity. And as a creative, I really want to know, how do you manage writer's block? You're creating all these decades. There's got to be times that, you just like the brain ain't doing what it need to do. How do you manage that? Because I want longevity like you.
I can tell you that I do get writer's block. And when I do get writer's block, I chill. I take my time. It took me a minute. I was so glad to write this Christmas song because I hadn't written for a while. They were calling me. Juanita was calling. Jonathan was calling. Angie, we got to get this thing back together. Back when we wrote Stay for a While and all those great songs on the album, we were just flowing like water. And then, when I lost my dad and then I turned around and lost my mom, I got like a major block, and I didn't want to write anything. I couldn't think about that. And then when I ended up writing a Christmas song, it was because of their loss that we created a brilliant song, which you guys will hear this year. So I can tell you that the gift never leaves you. You just have to want to do it at the time that you do it. Trust yourself to do it and watch what happens. But when it's off, leave it off, because if you try to force it, you ain't gonna get what you want. So you just gotta wait until God open up the floodgates and allow you to flow again.
I'm getting the call. Yes. So we're gonna close out, but we will have an opportunity. All of the posters that everyone's going to be given a poster as you depart, and you'll have an opportunity to get your poster signed. And so maybe if you have a little comment or something or whatever, then there'll be another opportunity to engage with the women after the event. Okay, but we just want to ask everyone to join us one more time in showing so much love, gratitude, appreciation for.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We love y'all. We value you. We hear you. And so I know anybody here that has the power to do anything, we will do it. Right. And to make sure that Columbia is lifting you all up the way that you all need to be lifted. And so, like you said, today is the start. All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Thank everyone. And Richland Library as well for hosting this event.